gracious. This presentation is about meaning in translation. Meaning is very important in the process of translation, because what translators are normally looking for is to identify the meaning of the source text. The meaning of the source text is of course found in the text and in how the text is used. Meaning is a controversial concept. Linguistically speaking, meaning could be defined as what we understand from a linguistic unit, whether it is a single lexical item or a syntactic structure, when used in a specific situation. This very simple definition of meaning will not be sufficient for translators when discussing from an academic point of view the meaning in translation. Meaning is very significant in the process of translation, because meaning, however it is defined, is the core objective behind the whole process of rendering one text from one language into another. Also, because translators' main concern is always to achieve equivalence, and equivalence of course relates to meaning, or sometimes we call it the text function, how it means and how it functions. Now, in order to be able to discuss the related ideas in this respect, we will be dividing meaning in translation into two parts: lexical meaning, or what we call word meaning, and grammatical meaning, or what we call sentence meaning. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about word meaning and its relevance to translation. Word meaning sometimes is referred to as what we understand from words or lexical items. Different writers have tried to identify word meaning. Identifying word meaning is also controversial and difficult, because linguists and writers have been giving different views and different definitions of word. Because the word has been given different definitions have also been given to word meaning. But let's take the term word in its general sense to mean a lexical item, and therefore we speak of word meaning. Word meaning in translation is very important, because what we deal with in actual translation is words. A text is made up of words. The words are used in a specific way through some syntactic structures to produce sentences, and sentences construct a text. And through this construction, which is a whole unit, we get the overall meaning of the text. There are three approaches to word meaning, because different theories or different approaches have approached word meaning differently. The three famous approaches to word meaning are reference theory, componential analysis, and meaning postulates. The basic idea of reference theory is this: to express the relationship between the word and the extra-linguistic entity. The relationship between the word and the extra-linguistic entity. Extra-linguistic means the entity outside language, the entity in reality. Now, when we use words to refer to something outside in the world, to a chair, to a car, to a tree, to a building, to a man, to a country, all these are words referring to things. These things are called entities. Of course, sometimes entities are concrete. That is, they can be seen, they can be touched or smelled, etc. But sometimes this entity is abstract, like happiness, friendship, love, etc. So, reference theory means the relationship between the word and what it refers to in actual reality. This reality could be a realistic reality. It could be an imaginary reality, like in literature. Writers use words to refer to things and feelings, events, and many other things in a novel, for example. If you follow that novel, you may not find those people spoken about in the novel and events and places are real things. They are imaginary things. But anyway, the novel itself constitutes a context, a world of its own. So we take that context to interpret the reference between the words used by the writer and the things that he or she refers to in that world, in that imaginary world. Reference theory means word X refers to entity Y. The question is always asked, what is the relationship between the phenomena observed through the senses and the words that are used to refer to those phenomena? This was a very ancient question, and there were ancient answers to this question. There were two famous answers to this question. One was presented by Plato, the other was presented by Aristotle. Plato's view was this: the link between the word and the object to which it refers is a natural and necessary one, which is determined by the structure of the universe. So, according to Plato, the relationship between the word and the entity it refers to is a natural one, and it is part of the universe. Therefore, this relationship is intrinsically created through the structure of the universe. Aristotle has a contrary view. According to Aristotle, the connection between the word and its referent, or the entity in reality, is an arbitrary one. Arbitrary, that means it is made by people, by humans. Arbitrary one, constrained by no more than social convention. So the relationship between the word and what it refers to, according to Aristotle, is not a natural one, is not part of the universe. It is a man-made relationship. Aristotle supports his idea by saying that whatever people agree upon to use as a name for something will be used as a name. And the words that we sometimes find in language, like an automobile, are just a few words imitating the sounds of birds, water, leaves moving in the wind, etc. But these are very limited in the language. And the overall, or the core of lexical items in any language, I mean a natural language, human natural language, is arbitrary, that is created and made by the members of the language community and developed through the history of the development of that language. In modern times, there have been some attempts to explain the relationship of reference between words and what they refer to. One of those attempts was the one made by Ferdinand de Saussure. De Saussure was very keen to find out an explanation of the referential relationship. He presents a model in which he speaks about the linguistic sign. According to de Saussure, the link is between the linguistic sign and the object. The linguistic sign is composed of two indivisible elements. Indivisible, that is, they cannot be separated. The concept and the acoustic image which realizes it. So according to de Saussure, the linguistic sign, and the linguistic sign could be a word or any other linguistic item, a phrase, a sentence, there is a concept that this sign is referring to. There is a concept and there is an acoustic image. The acoustic image is how that word or that linguistic unit is pronounced, how it is heard by the hearing system. And that, of course, represents or manifests the concept. So what we hear is not the name, is the pronunciation of that name of the thing. And that pronunciation still is a concept in our minds. Therefore, when we say a tree, for example, every one of us would imagine a tree. It's true that different people have different experiences with the trees. You may imagine a tree as being very green, long, with a lot of branches. Another one would imagine a tree as a small plant just beginning to grow with little or small branches. Now, different people have different concepts or view things differently based on their experience in reality and their experience with language. But they would all expect, or we expect all people of the language community to have an image of the tree with its basic elements. A tree is a big plant that has some kind of fruits, green or greenish leaves and branches. That is an example of the acoustic image and the linguistic sign referring to something in reality through the concept as explained by de Saussure. Another attempt was also made by Ogden and Richards. Ogden and Richards have in fact written a whole book about meaning, and they called it The Meaning of Meaning. According to Ogden and Richards, there is what they call the triangle of signification. The triangle of signification. This triangle is made of the sign, the concept, and the referent. The sign is the linguistic sign. The referent is the thing or entity in reality to which the sign refers. According to Ogden and Richards, the relationship between the sign and the referent is not a direct one. It is an indirect one. It is through the concept that we view the entity in reality. So both de Saussure and Ogden and Richards models have the basic idea, which is the linguistic sign through the concept refer to a thing in reality. The second approach to word meaning is componential analysis. The key idea of componential analysis is this. Each word or each linguistic item contains a number of atoms of meaning. Atoms of meaning. That is, the meaning of a word is the sum of a number of elements of meaning it possesses. Those elements of meaning are called semantic distinctive features. The elements are binary, that is to say, are marked as present or absent. Formally speaking, we use plus or minus to represent the existence of this feature or the non-existence of it. Now, for example, the features of man, women, boy, and girl can be represented according to componential analysis as follows. The word man, or features, distinctive features of the word man are plus human, plus adult, plus male. The distinctive features of the word woman are plus human, plus adult, minus male. The distinctive features of the word boy are plus human, minus adult, plus male. The distinctive features of the word girl are plus human, minus adult, minus male. Other information include the pronunciation of the word, the syntactic information, morphological information, and semantic sense. All these information can be combined and included in an entry in a dictionary. This entry represents the elements, or what we call the semantic distinctive features of the concept to which that word refers to. So based on this componential analysis, or the analysis of the components of the meaning of a word, we may be able to differentiate between one word on another in terms of meaning based on the difference in the features each one has. So the distinctive features of the word chair are different from the distinctive features of the word table. It's true that both share the same distinctive feature, which is piece of furniture, but they have different other distinctive features, and so on with many other related words. The third approach to word meaning is meaning postulates. The idea of meaning postulates is this: relating meaning to meaning through the conventions of set theory. There are three types of relationship between a concept and another, or lexically speaking, between a word and another. These are sometimes called sense relations. The basic idea here means that words do not only refer to something in reality, they do not also only have distinctive features that represent them and differentiate them from other words, but words have relationships with words, and therefore some words can define others, or some words are defined by others. There are three types of relationships or sense relations. These are hyponymy, synonymy, and antonymy. Hyponymy means inclusion. One concept is included in another. Example, animal includes tiger. That means tiger is a type of animal. Building includes house, villa, flat, hotel. All of them are buildings, but the term building is a general one that includes different types under it. A human includes man, woman, boy, child. In this case, the general word is a superordinate and the specific word is a subordinate. Now, through this relationship, we may, in translation, sometimes use the superordinate, the general term, in order to translate a word for which there is no equivalent in the target language. Synonymy. Synonymy means overlap between concepts. Two concepts overlap because they share some of the properties of meaning, like hide and conceal. It's true that there is no 100% synonymy, but there are close concepts in terms of meaning, and sometimes the two words are used in different contexts. They share the relationship of synonymy in specific contexts, and sometimes they differ in certain contexts, especially when we talk about collocations. The third type of sense relations is antonymy, which is exclusion. Sometimes we call it one word is opposite the other, an antonym of it, like true and false, big and small, teacher and student, husband and wife, man and woman. We have different types of antonymy, but we are here talking about the general concept, which is exclusion. This concept excludes the other. If this is a man, he is not a woman. If this is a chair, it is not a table. If this is a house, it is not a flat, and so on. So sometimes inclusion is not very clear-cut, because language is being used differently, different situations by different users, and words may develop different senses and different meanings in different situations. Those were the three approaches to word meaning: reference theory, componential analysis, and meaning postulates. The three approaches complement each other. That is to say, we can not only speak of word meaning as what the word refers to in reality, but sometimes we need also to differentiate between two words which refer to similar things in terms of synonymy, that is, sense relations, meaning postulates. Sometimes we need to identify the semantic distinctive features of the concept, because we don't know exactly the difference between two specific words in a specific context. So the three approaches complement each other, and translators normally make use of the three approaches, consciously or unconsciously. Other related concepts which relate to word meaning include semantic fields, collocation, denotation, and connotation. A semantic field is a group of words or concepts whose members are related by meaning, reference, or use. So there should be a relationship of meaning, reference, or use. Examples include kinship terms, military ranks, color terms, and names of the parts of the body. They all refer to some sort of a field or a system. The body is a system. The kinship names refer to a system of relationship. Color terms refer to a system of colors and degrees of colors which are related. Collocation is a habitual association between particular words such as to and fro, fish and chips, safe and sound, etc. In collocation, a word tends to occur in relatively predictable ways with other words. Certain nouns with particular adjectives, or verbs with particular adverbials, and so on. And each language has a lot of collocations which are interpreted in a specific situation. When the word is taken out of that collocational relationship, it can have a different sense, but it acquires a specific sense, which we call the collocational sense, in that specific context. Denotation and connotation. Denotation is the basic meaning of a word, that is, its cognitive meaning. It is the direct relationship between a word and the object, and this takes us back to reference. It is a direct relationship between a word and the object, idea, or action it designates. This connotation, or this type of meaning, connotation, is a shared property of the speech community. We would normally find all members of the speech community sharing the same basic meanings of the words. Everybody would say that a chair is that piece of furniture on which we sit when we learn, study, and write. But sometimes the word has some associations of meaning, that is, connotation. The word chair may mean the chair or the leadership, or it may mean the crown, the government. This is what we call connotation. Connotation is the affective or associational meaning, the emotive and associational aspect of a word. It is personal sometimes, or common to a specific group, like mother. The word mother means the person, especially when we speak of humans, the female person who gives birth to a child. This is the denotation. In Arabic, the word al-um means al-walida, التي تلد مولودا. That is in Arabic. But there are some other associations, what we call connotations, which are associated with the word mother or in Arabic. These include love, warmth, care, sacrifice, etc. Those were related concepts: semantic field, collocation, denotation, and connotation. All these concepts relate to what we call word meaning. All of these concepts are very important for translators, because the translator would be concerned with the identification of the meaning of the text. The source text is made up of words used in syntactic structures. Unless the translator identifies what is this or that word means in this specific context, he or she will not be able to render the meaning of that text into the target language. So these concepts are useful devices, useful linguistic devices. They belong to semantics, the branch which studies meaning. Meaning is the most important concept for translators, because translators cannot achieve equivalence unless they identify meaning. In order to identify meaning, we need to know how to identify meaning. What are the types of meaning? Which devices can help the translator to identify meaning and render it into the target language? Thank you.